Oftentimes we overestimate the level of compassion that our ex has on these situations. You go into your divorce and your separation thinking that the other person is going to be putting the best interests of the kids, as front and center, and the pettiness and just the stupid fighting is going to go away. Now, in a normal, typical divorce with two healthy people, that's absolutely what's going to happen. And you may have your differences, but ultimately you're going to be able to sit down and discuss things and make decisions that are in the best interest of your kids and that you guys can cooperatively work together. The problem with that is when you're dealing with somebody who's toxic, when you're dealing with somebody who is only fixated on winning and causing you as much pain and grief as possible by whatever means possible, that's not the case. And you have to be careful, because what happens is you can share information with somebody and they'll then use that information against you. Now, this came up in the live stream the other day, a Tuesday live stream, where somebody had that exact situation. Their child was having some issues with school. They emailed their ex to say, hey, these are some problems, what can we do? And they took that communication and shared it with the child, and it caused problems. Now, I've gone through the exact same thing on this, where I would try to have these conversations with the ex to focus on what we could do for the best interest of our kids. And it took me a few times of basically getting burned before I realized that, it's just not going to work. It's not going to change. She's not going to adapt to, she's not going to let things go. It's going to be this constant chaos that's just never going to end. Now, you need to be aware of it, because you can cause yourself some problems and cause some setbacks whenever you share some information and you're having these open adult conversation, expecting that you can talk with your ex and have reasonable conversations, and that information is going to stay private or not be used against you. Now, in the live stream the other day, I mentioned a time whenever I think it was my youngest, was having issues. Like, she's always having issues in school, but she's like, well, hey, what do you plan on doing? And like an idiot, I wrote her back and I said, well, if she fails, I'm going to take this away, I'm going to take that away, I'm going to ground her from this. This is what I'm going to do. As soon as I sent that, no more communications, no response. No, that's a good idea, I'm going to do the same thing. It was basically, she ghosted me. And then whenever my daughter did fall into that trap, there was no cooperation or no consistency between the two houses on it. So I was made to look as the bad guy. And the problem with that is that you sharing information with the other person, which you need to share some information, but you need to be careful what you share. You need to think about it so that you aren't basically putting yourself into a bind by providing information that's going to just be used against you. So, obviously share information. Like just the other day, I sent an email to the ex saying, hey, I talked to the teachers. Our daughter's failing one class and struggling in a couple others. I didn't say, what do you want to do? I didn't say what my plan was. It was like, here's the information. This is what's going on. The teachers all say she has an opportunity to get better. Do whatever you want with it. Now, I know that she's not going to do anything with it. The most case, she might pretend like she's interested and talk to our daughter about it, and then that's it. There'll be no accountability. There won't be any follow through. So I'm doing my part by sharing the information I need to share, but I'm also making sure that I don't send too much information to cause myself more problems. Now, ultimately, you have to anticipate this and prepare yourself for it, because when it first happens, the first few times it happens, it's going to really be annoying. And every time something like this happens, you take it as a data point. Don't get mad at yourself for for going through it again. So every one of us is going to have to go through this a few times to prove to ourselves that we're dealing with somebody who's unreasonable. And then you're going to get to the point like I did, where you're like, okay, I've done everything I need to try to do. It hasn't worked. It's not going to change. I don't need to keep beating my head against the wall for the next 6 years like I have the last, at the time, 3 to 4 years, expecting something to change. So I just want to bring that up because I know a lot of us are dealing with this, and I remember in the early stages for me, I had a problem with second guessing myself, not really believing that the reality I was living in, the toxic narcissistic behavior I was living in was real. I'm like, well, it's just a phase. It's not going to last. It's just because she's mad and she's going to get over it. Well, they don't get over it. They don't change. They don't get over it. They're never going to, unfortunately, they're never going to wake up one day and say, you know, what we've been doing for, like in my situation, what we've been doing for the last 6 years, you know, that's really not effective and it's really been hurting the kids. So let's try something different. Wouldn't that be nice? It's not going to happen. You know, and personally, I mean, if anything like that ever did happen, if she did say that, I'd be like, okay, you know, prove it. It's like, you know, actions and words. Let's see some proof that it's actually going to work. And if that's the case, then that's the case. So Anna, just think about that. Keep that in the back of your mind so you don't get yourself into a bind. And I'll chat with you guys in the next video. Take care.